Hey, hello, welcome for Garden Chronicles. I'm showing to you today about the video on how do I do the step-by-step growing begonias using a hydroponic method. This is especially for beginners. If you can see here, the setup here, actually I had done this on September 2019, and I'm surprised that all the begonias that is been set here, most of them are stable, and I'm actually amazed that I don't have to repot and reset them all over again, as I have experienced before, where the begonia goes through dormancy and sometimes they will just tend to drop all the leaf and go dormant. And in this case, they are considered very stable and able to handle the whole thing, and I don't have to care for them, except occasionally I use foliar fertilizer spraying upon them, and that's about that. Even the water here is being sub-in as in the hydroponic system, so I don't really have to worry about it. So okay, I will get back to the details of how do I do about this, so follow me on this. Alright, let's get back to the materials. The most important material that I use here is the Mopwick, as you can see here. This one you can actually use the strand type, where you can find in any of these basic mop materials that you can buy from any of the sundries and any of the shops that they sell this. What I do is that I remove the strand carefully and I wash and soak it overnight. This is a very important thing that need to be done. Once the soaking is done, throw away the water and repeat this. Do again at least about 4 to 5 days, or the best will be a week. Constantly washing it and removing it, soaking it, actually helps this system. Okay, what I've done here is, in the past, that I've with the zealousness, I straight away have taken it out and I just used it in a day. And what has happened here is that the plant started to die off, and I realized that there are chemicals that is being used, that sometimes the dye, it doesn't really go well with the begonia, so the washing and the soaking actually help. Some of the other gardeners also have actually boiled it in hot water and wash off. You can actually do that if you really want to, but in most cases it's not necessary, but it is safer to do so. So the first step here is this. The most important step is to take out the mop, wash it, soak it overnight, and repeat this for a week. 5 to 4 days a week will be the best. The next item is a water container. This particular one that I'm actually using is actually a clay pot, which I've already sealed it with cement. Previously actually rearing fish on it, then I turned this into a Mopwick hydroponic system. One of the things that is important about water containers here is that make sure that you don't actually breed mosquitoes, because it is a magnet when this kind of things takes place. So the best way to deter it is to rear small fish in it, especially guppies or platies, or even if you don't want to use that, you can actually use mosquito repellent powder in it, so that they can actually deter mosquitoes from it. But basically is that the water container is required when it comes for this particular hydroponic system. You can also use a sealed container if you want to, but basically this is actually half exposed system, so that I can actually view what is actually taking place in the water. The next item is actually a container basket. This is actually the plastic ones, where I wrap or put in the Mopwick inside of it, just to give a holding structure. I have tried last time where I actually just layer it on a flat piece of slab or tile, but I find that it doesn't actually hold the root ball and the whole thing collapses. So I find that putting them in a plastic container where there is drainage. One of the most important things is the drainage factor. If I have tried one without the drainage, water seems to seep into the container, and when the water stays stagnant inside the container, the roots seems started to have a root rot. So it's very important to have drainage holes on it so that the water can seep out and fall into the main container, and it will just make the Mopwick just barely moist and just enough to hold the water just to keep the roots hydrated. This is one of the most important things that need to be looked into. Another material that I forgot to mention is the support material. What I'll do here, what I am actually using is a tile slab that is resting on top of the water pot, the water container, and these baskets are above it. And the other thing here is that with the Mopwick and the plant and the begonias on top of it, and the Mopwick being wet, it can be quite heavy. So do consider the support to be something just strong and durable, and most importantly waterproof, because if you're going to use something like a cardboard or styrofoam or even a piece of plywood, it may rot away in time. So what I can suggest here is something like a slab, and the best would be a strong layer of tile slab, which I find that they are much more durable and able to handle the weight. Now the excitement begins. Once all these materials are ready, then we can actually start working on the begonias. What I do here is that once I purchase the begonia from the nursery, I would not water it. I will just keep it dry, and once the materials are already set and ready, I will start to work on the begonias. Basically what I'll do is that I will unpot the begonia, and I will slowly work on the material, the soil. So what I'll do here is that I will slowly remove the begonia with carefully taking out the root ball out of it. Basically here it is actually planted using a cocoa peat, and I find that cocoa peat in the long term somehow cause this begonia to die away. So what I'll do here is that I will carefully remove the root ball and soak it and wash off as much as the cocoa peat out of the root ball. Once that is done, of course I won't be able to take out 100%. That will actually damage a lot of the root material. So what I do here is that as many as I can, just remove as much of the cocoa peat out of the root structure. Once that is done, after soaking but basically it's not so important that to remove everything, just as much as possible without causing more damage on the root ball. So once that is done, what I'll do here is that I will actually roll the root ball with the Mopwick. It is important to make sure that the Mopwick is actually wet and moist, because if you were to dry it, do it when it's dry, it would not hold moisture, and it will be a bit more difficult actually. So the best way to do it is to make sure that the Mopwick is moist, but it's not dripping wet. So it will be good that after wetting it, to squeeze it and take out just enough water so it won't be soggy. Once when they are actually rolled in, you can carefully tuck them into the basket. Why one of the things, even the broken leaf, you can actually do like this, so they also will actually grow. Once all the mop material and the plants were actually arranged carefully and set in, you can actually drop in the Mopwick into the container. One of the most important thing is to make sure that there is enough Mopwick that goes down into the water, because if there is not enough Mopwick going into the water, the whole system may be too dry, and the water may not be enough to hydrate the whole begonia system. So do drop more than one or two, or evenly array the Mopwick to touch into the water, just enough to keep the system hydrated. The water level is also very important, not too low and not too high. So you have to just check and balance on that. If it's too low, there won't be enough water to go up, and the whole thing will be actually dry as husk. And if it's too high, what happens is that there'll be too much water and there may be a root drought. So one of the most important thing here is to get the balance right. So check and balance on a daily basis is important. One of the ways that I actually do it is that I'll check the sturdiness of the leaf. If the leaf is sturdy and strong, I know they receive enough water, so I don't have to worry about it. And if the leaves appear to be a bit withered, I know there's not enough water. So what I'll do here is that either I'll raise the water level or I'll drop in more Mopwick into the water system, the water container, so that the whole system is hydrated. What I want to show to you here is that after a few months, new leaves started to form from the leaf structure alone. What I want to say here is that once the system is running and going very well, there's nothing much to be worried about except just maintenance and slightly check and balance. Alright, I think basically that's about it. This is the compilation of all the pictures that I've collected over the months. If you can see it, they have been doing very well over the months. Okay, there's another way of doing it. This is my first project. I have also tried recently a new way of doing it. Not say a new way, a different experiment where I actually used a water container where I used to grow water lilies. So what I've done here is that I removed off all the material and the soil out from it, and I have placed bricks. I find that brick seems to also give a very good conduct for the root formation. And what I've done here is that I've actually placed directly the mop on top of the roots. Over here is what I've done is that I've removed off all the roots off and soaked it and take out as much as the materials as possible. It's the same method as the earlier one, but this one is a simpler method where, if you can see it, after washing it, I have placed all of them on top of the brick without the slab. So this is what I have appeared to be so far. I will actually show an update on how it turned out to be in a month's time. So basically it's as simple as that. Do try it out. If you find that your begonia seems not to be working and you're passionate about growing begonias and you find it impossible, try this method. I will really assure you that this is very easy and they are quite hardy and resistant in compared to the one that actually grown using just cocoa peat or any other soil material. The other matter about this here is that you don't have to worry about watering because it's very well regulated. There's nothing much to be worried about and you can actually go for a holiday. Alright, thank you so much and have a nice day. Do click like and comment if you need to have any other queries about this. I'll try my best to answer your questions. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.